In this tutorial, you're going to learn exactly how you can sell your software for the maximum exit possible and potentially make an extra 6 to 7 figures on your exit. So a quick intro before we get started. My name is George, I own a software company myself, and we do over 7 figures annually in annual recurring revenue. So coming from my side, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I've also bought and sold multiple e-commerce businesses, digital agencies, and softwares myself. So I've been on both sides of the table, and unfortunately, I've learned this the very hard way. I've lost hundreds of thousands on exits because I made these mistakes. And I'm going to show you exactly how you can cancel out and save from my learnings. To give you a little bit of an update on where we are in the situation as of 2025 December, the software market is at an all-time high. It's the most hyped space, the most hyped industry, especially softwares that include AI. But that means tons of startups and a lot of buyers. So if your business isn't presented in the right way, you may even struggle to sell at all. Gone are the times where you could get a 15x multiple on your software, unless we're talking enterprise B2B SaaS. Lots of these startup apps are simply not going to be hitting these multiples, but you can still get a very, very good exit, and I'm going to show you exactly how. But a common mistake that I see time and time again is founders put months and potentially years into a software, but then rush their exit at the very last minute. And especially during later stages, when you get to due diligence and you start moving through the process, you can leave potentially 10, 20, or 30% of your exit on the table without taking it home ever. In 2025, code is simply not worth the same amount as it once was. Gone are the times where it's hundreds of thousands of dollars in your IP, your code. Unless you're running your own API, which many apps and softwares are not, that code base is not worth a lot at all. Potentially as little as $1,000 and as much as 50 to 100K. I think in most cases, you're going to sit around the 1 to 5K mark, depending on how advanced your software is. If we're talking about lots of wrappers put together, there's some IP valuation, especially when you're selling a startup with low revenue. But when you start progressing up the ladder, your code base is simply not put as part of the equation. Your business is where it really matters. Now, if you want access to this full doc as well, just to run through at the end, make sure to watch to the end, and I'll go ahead and email this directly to you. A business is what really makes a software sellable. Buyers are paying for paying customers, they want a recurring revenue stream, social medias, and predictable acquisition channels. These are things that show our business is in good health and they can continue forward into the future as well. Technology, especially with AI now, and going into the future for the months and years to come, it's going to be easier and easier to go ahead and copy and clone. We've already seen this for all types of companies, including mine, that people can go ahead and start new companies as quickly as in a matter of days to get 70 to 80% of the way there on the product side. The thing that they don't have is that key customer base. So really, this is one thing that you need to focus on is your business itself. Now, what makes a software sellable? And look, that is being said, every business is sellable. You want to try to time your exit with the market as much as possible to achieve the maximum exit possible. B2B, B2C, it's going to affect your multiple to some point, but if you've built your business, there's nothing that you can do. So let's not focus on that at all. Now let's go to your market. Is there a real market for this product? Have you reached the market limit already? Are you just tapping the iceberg and there's a gold mine underneath that is waiting to be uncovered? Or is there actually a lot of downsides to the market itself? Are there some big players that you know you can't get past without raising 100 or 200 million? Where the opportunity can go with the right operator in the next 3 years, and how much could they potentially make? Then look at how you get your customers. Is it repeatable? Is it scalable? What's the cost to acquire your customer base? These are all key to scaling the business further, of course. And then look through your key metrics. What's your lifetime value, your customer acquisition cost, your churn, and your retention documents. For this, I would just use a tool like ChartMogul. You can sync it all across from Stripe itself, and then just get this all into a nice clear document together onto a Google Drive. You don't need a massive team either. That doesn't really make too much difference. If you're a solo founder here, it's good to have some other people to think that you're not the business yourself. You can actually scale this out quite a bit with virtual assistants. You could get somebody in as an operator and show a clear path for a buyer that they could take it on themselves if you're a solo founder. These are two options that your business can be in. A huge trend in market, AI writing tools, management software, CRMs. It's a huge opportunity, tons of competitors, tons of demand. If done right, you can grow that market exponentially. But if you're just starting out, that's extremely high risk play. While as if you're a smaller market, maybe you're going to get a more solid multiple, but your revenue, of course, is going to be much lower. The number of buyers that could potentially be interested are also lower because they see where the limits of the business is. And the big buyers in any field are looking to scale your company to $100 or $200 million at least. Now you want to see how your revenue actually breaks down. If you're running an agency or a high ticket software with clients paying $5,000 a month and your total MRR is $50,000, if one of your clients drops off, you can lose 10% of your revenue simply overnight. This kind of business is extremely fragile, although there are exceptions to this circumstance where you have great retention on long-term contracts and retainers, and this can be actually a huge benefit to your software as long as you're acquiring customers quickly. Although normally on the smaller end, this is a big red flag. And if you're in this case right now, think about selling some lower ticket products just to boost the MRR up a little bit more and to go ahead and diversify your income. While as you can also have on the other side with companies like these AI writing tools, flight finders now as well, where you have 10,000 customers paying $5 each. You still have 50K MRR, your cost of acquisition, you could actually be losing money on and then having a longer payback period. Now these customers tend to have much higher churn as well, much worse retention, and then you have all the headache of managing 10,000 users. Probably 5 or 6 customer support reps working full time, 24/7, and having quite a high chargeback and dispute rate as well due to these cheaper customers. Your sweet spot is to be somewhere in between where you have a few customers paying high ticket and a few low ticket as well. And even in this case, a lower MRR would still have a higher exit. Just bear that in mind to diversify your revenue across as much as possible. Now, don't be founder dependent. I know as a founder, it can be extremely tempting to try to solve every single problem yourself because number one is the cheapest way to do it. And number two, most of us are control freaks and we need to sort stuff out. But try to diversify as much as possible. And I promise as well, even if you're not considering an exit now, but sometime in the future, this is a way that you can secretly boost your business, and every company does it. For myself, I used to spend a lot of time in sales for my company. I was doing anywhere from 15 to 20 sales calls per day, and I didn't want to hand this up at all. Eventually, it came to a time where I needed to spend time on the other parts of the business, and I couldn't take any more sales calls. So I brought somebody else in place. I managed to train them up over a period of months, and now they're killing the sales role within the company, and they're scaling it beyond what I was doing before. If you can do this, you can get a great exit. Small teams are also fine, but make sure you have a few other chains apart from yourself that somebody else could step into your shoes and pick up the business in a matter of weeks or days. Try to lay out any documents before your exit. Moving on to what you need to do in the data room itself. Try to make sure your SOP, standard operating procedures, these are the key bits to your business to show buyers how you actually run the business. You want to show how you acquire customers, how you manage your platform and code, how you manage customer support tickets, admin, and which employees do which roles and how much they make. One key thing that I've learned through all my acquisitions is that you can control the data room as much as possible. By doing this, you can present data in a way that backs up your story, backs up the business without making up numbers or creating new documents. You can just show the best results and why. For example, if you don't have a free trial and you have thousands of customers coming on to pay $5 a time, you could say that those customers were just trying out the software. They weren't real retention docs. It makes sense the whole time that you would have a higher churn because of that. So if you remove the first segment of month 1 churn and calculate churn from month 2 onwards, just present the data that way, make a little note on the document itself, your churn metrics are going to be significantly better. And by doing so, you're going to achieve a much better exit. Once you progress through preparing some documents together and you're prepared to sell, don't take your foot off the gas, because if you do, you're going to be extremely harmed later on in the sale. Buyers are going to demand extra questions on why things are going badly. You're going to have to go ahead and reduce your price, and then you're going to have to make up for all of this work. If you're able to grow during the sales process, you will be able to achieve a much higher exit. 90% of sellers prepare in the mind that they're going to sell their business for the first time, and then they take the foot off the gas, and I simply don't understand it. So this is one key thing that you cannot be doing. What you should be doing instead is keeping your ads running until the deal closes. Show that you're constantly growing, and this is an opportunity that they do not want to miss out on. Maintain normal operations. Ideally, don't tell your team before you're progressing through a sale progress, because this can make people ultimately leave the company before they actually do. Try to keep everything last minute, of course, as clear as possible, but keep this process as transparent as possible throughout. Try to collect data in any parts of your business that are working right now. So any acquisition channel that's booming, for any new customers that are coming on board, try to keep this all documented, chuck into a Google Drive, and send constant updates to your buyers itself. Here's a real example of what a kill deal may look like. This software was making 40K per month, and they lost over 300K on exit. In the month they wanted to sell, they were doing 40K MRR. They spent around $5,000 in ads. They were adding 8,000 in new MRR, and they were churning 3K. Their net growth was 5K. Really simple numbers here to run through. By month 3, they were closing to the end of the diligence and progressing forward with the escrow transaction. But by then, they already lost that 40K by 4K, and they were down to 36K MRR, and things were going way, way worse. They stopped acquiring new customers, and they were churning more than ever before. In the buyer's perspective, the value of a 3x multiple was no longer playable at all. It was not worth 1.4 million. And by doing so, they cut their ARR offer by half. Here's the math broken down. You tried to save some money on paid ads as you bring in the sale process. The buyer sees that the business is losing money and you get your offer potentially cut by half. Now that's worst case scenario. Or you can go ahead and carry on spending during those months, carry on making profit and achieve the multiple that you desired at the very start. At the end of the day, if you're making millions away from your software exit, it's going to be far more than a few months of ad spend. The key takeaway here, don't stop growing. Whatever it takes, keep the business moving on. Now we're into part 2, the key valuation to a software. As I said at the beginning, you're not going to be hitting 10 to 15x multiples on ARR, whatever ChatGPT is telling you. I'm sorry, it's wrong. Instead, buyers will look at your business health, they'll compare to what else is on the market, and a lot of the time you're going to be hitting some kind of EBITDA multiple, especially if you're under 2 years old. And this is not just my opinion, but you can go ahead and check marketplaces, sell prices of softwares, and you can see they simply don't hit these fixed multiples. For a new SaaS, you could look anywhere from 1 to 7x EBITDA, depending on how strong your growth is, how good your retention documents are as well, and what kind of buyer you're looking at. If you're looking at a strategic buyer, a buyer that's in the same industry as you, that could potentially benefit from buying you, you would look at the upper end. And if you're looking on the financial buyer path, you would be looking at a lower acquisition cost because they're just simply looking at your numbers. Not the business, not the social medias, but just the numbers. Here's the multiples that you could be looking at, but of course you can refer to the doc by just leaving your email below at the end of the video. The key takeaway from this segment is don't let your ego kill an exit. Just because you heard a software 5 years ago sold for a 10x multiple, doesn't mean yours will as well. Retention and growth is everything. Market fit is also key. If you look at one of the latest acquisitions, Base 44 for $80 million by Wix, Base was taking over the market for Wix. It was a key threat to its existence. And that's why there was a heavy price tag. They already had connections before, he was a serial founder, and there was key backing throughout the whole time. Your AI writing tool might not be the same. Here's a quick breakdown of what you need in the data room before any buyer even wires you $1. Make sure you have clear retention docs. Again, you can use ChartMogul for this all. Make sure you display your data as clearly as possible in the methods that I discussed before. Have a clear growth rate, MRR breakdown, the business agent history, any ups and downs. Try to explain those as clear as possible before buyers ask you that same question. Keep your financials as clear with a profit and loss statement, especially highlighting the last 12 months, and then export any of the metrics into a Google Drive just to clearly organize. You can just name each as a different tab and just chuck all the information there. Try to use bank statements to go ahead and align with any information, documents, financials. If you use multiple banks, just make it clear where the income comes from as well. What is also really key is a growth plan for the next 12 to 24 months. How will the buyer go ahead and purchase this business and make a return on their investment? Lots of buyers are not going to be buying just to maintain for the business. They want to go ahead and grow it further. You have to make it as clear as possible that there is a path for growth. Now, that being said, this whole process can be extremely draining, extremely tiring, and can take potentially months. And while doing this, we see time and time again that founders take the foot off the gas to focus on the acquisition, which ultimately harms their business. That's the main reason why I started Sell Wasabi, to help founders exit their business in the most efficient way possible for the maximum exit. Before, we just used to work with e-com brands, but having a software company myself made me think that we can start bringing on more software companies to work with. So if you're looking to sell your software company, you've recently started, or you've been running for multiple years before, we'd love to talk and put together a free valuation for you. We'll help you with everything from pricing your software in the right multiples to reaching out to buyers one-on-one and using our network to go ahead and find strategic buyers straight for you. We'll do all of this while you can focus on the business. Imagine this, you decide to sell your business, you contact Wasabi, we onboard all your documents and information, we prepare your data room, your due diligence, and then we go ahead and progress through the contracts. All you need to do is sign a DocuSign here and there, or potentially jump on a call near to close. And when the process is done, you'll receive an email from escrow and have the funds directly wired to you. It's really that simple. We take everything off your plate, onboard all the documents, onboard your stress as well, and then take care of your exit as fast as possible. So if you are looking to sell your software, feel free to book in a call below, and we'll reach back out to you to see if you're the right fit to sell your business with us. If you want access to any of the free documents like P&Ls, metric dashboards, SOPs, and even this document itself, just go ahead and fill your email out and we'll send everything over directly to that. So until the next one, see you soon.